All right. Hi, everyone. I am here with Kalika Jansen. She is the director of our CAPS, our counseling program, and Madison Gibson, our president of the Psych Social Club, and myself, Nicole Trina Flores. I'm the department chair for the social science program and then also the interim global ed coordinator. But we just thought we would take an opportunity to share some tips, suggestions, thoughts for students and faculty staff on some self-care and some other mental health tips as we venture into uncharted territory. So Kalka, if you want to talk a little bit about kind of what you do at SCC to give people an idea, I think that'd be a great place to start.
Absolutely, yes. And thanks for putting this together. This is a great idea. So as Nicole said, I am the director of the Counseling Assistance Program for Students at SCC, and we call it CAPS for short. So at its most basic level, SCC gifts really includes within the student fees this idea of providing counseling to any enrolled student. Doesn't matter, kind of how many classes the students enrolled in, as long as they're enrolled, they qualify for this benefit. So we provide that mental health support and psychological well-being to students. It's confidential. It's still conducted in much of the same ways that you would find counseling in your communities. And it's just one of those added bonuses that SCC provides their students. So I supervise interns that are finishing up master's degree programs or PhD programs within counseling. They attend other universities and they choose SCC as their site, and they help me see the students and do the work of the counseling. We also offer support groups and just kind of overall outreach interventions for psychological wellness.
Muted. How would a student go about receiving services right now at a time of quarantine?
Yeah, what a time, right? So honestly, within the world of counseling, and this is true at SCC right now, but it's also true at most other places that counseling is happening in our communities, we are still able to provide our services. They are not exactly the same, obviously, as many things are not right now, but the process of getting the counseling started within CAPS at SCC is much the same as it was before this time. You reach out to me. So that can be done through my email address. I have a cell phone that anybody can call or text, and there's just many ways to find me. And then basically we meet each other. Right now we're doing things via Zoom, much like this meeting. So Zoom platform is HIPAA compliant, the platform that we use at SCC, so everything is still protected and encrypted, and we can do things in ways that maintains people's privacy and confidentiality. And so I meet students who are interested. We talk about what counseling can be and what it is, and then I provide the options of what SCC could give them to get started.
Maddie, did you have any questions about the counseling process?
I really don't right now, I guess.
How many sessions could a student receive if they qualify?
Yeah, any student within an academic year. And so on my end, we keep track of that year, which is kind of July 1 to June 30. So we're coming up on the end of an academic year. Any student can utilize 15 individual sessions. So that'd be a one-on-one with the student and one of those interns or myself. And in addition, 10 group sessions. So the support groups or therapy groups that we have running, you could do a combination of both. And then once the year ends, if a student's still enrolled at SCC, they're more than welcome to re-engage with our program. We really value having ready access for our SCC students, so there isn't a wait list. We are able to connect with students, make sure we have a good understanding of what they need and want from counseling and what we can provide. And then, they're off and doing the counseling thing, and there's no long wait time. So I think we're lucky to be able to provide that.
That's great. So in terms of times like these, are there self-care techniques that you would suggest to students, staff, faculty, anyone really?
Yeah, I think self-care is of its utmost importance at these times. We are, like you said, facing uncharted territories right now. And so our most basic needs, things like sleep and movement of our body and what we're letting or instructing our mind to do with its energy, what we're putting into our body nutritionally, how we're spending our time. Those are all areas that I think really need a higher emphasis right now so that we can feel more effective in our day-to-day, just everything the world's demanding of us, whether it's academically, through work, through our other relationships. So some really basic tips. Honestly, the first one would be breath, which I know sounds silly because if we're upright, we're breathing. But getting a healthy system of oxygenation and breathing is one of the first things that we try to tell people about, because our body's stress response often affects our breathing in negative ways. It shortens our breath, makes us breathe more frequently, which isn't as healthy. So the first skill I might teach somebody who might be watching this would be a really healthy, what we call belly breath. So breathing in, and if you could, through your nose for about 4 seconds, or even longer if you could. That's a long breath, moves your belly out. And then even holding that breath a couple seconds and then exhaling through your mouth. That would be just a great habit to get into right now, making sure we're getting that good breathing in our body to keep our stress levels down. That'd be a first tip.
In terms of kind of maintaining normalcy, is there anything you would tell someone you're working with?
I think that is one of the trickier things, because we aren't in a time that most of us would define in normal, right? And some, we're talking about maybe this as a current new normal, and so our view of the current times is really important. So being sure that we're finding something throughout each day that we can feel good or okay about, something, whether it's positive or joyful or just stress relieving, would be really good in these current times. But again, that idea of balance, stepping away from our day-to-day tasks at higher frequencies and taking breaks would be a really good idea as well.
Maddie, did you have any questions?
I guess if you have any advice for people who are quarantined right now with, sometimes it can be hard to quarantine with certain people, if that may be friends, family. Do you have any advice for those people, as in stepping away from a situation or how to get away from that?
Oh, that is such a great question, Maddie, because many folks are facing that, where we are in situations we didn't anticipate being at home trying to do school, or at home trying to do counseling, or really at home as much as we are right now. So it is important to first and foremost take a look around our current surroundings and just say, what is giving me, good energy, and what is taking from me. And if we do identify that there are some circumstances in our environment that are taking from us or that aren't healthy for us, looking for ways to kind of separate or navigate that is great. So there are a couple different layers to that. I think just physically, we can really strive to move our bodies away from, and this could be into another room. It could be on a really brief, I know there's snow outside, which is so weird, but it could be on a really brief walk that includes a little bit of sunshine. Even just up and down a sidewalk would be great. But even if we can't move ourselves away physically in these kind of coping intervals, we can actually do some things which are perfectly okay to compartmentalize our mental energy. And so sometimes I teach people to just take a calm mental break. And so even if I have to be in the same room where stress is, or I'm finding I can't focus, or it's just maybe a person I'm sick of being with and not getting along with very well, I could take about 2 minutes, would be my recommendation, 2 minutes to really strive to envision a place that I feel safe and calm in. And I'd really try to get in touch with the details of that place. Mm-hmm. Meaning I would picture as much as I could that would be in that place with me. I would envision the sounds I would hear there, the temperature of the air, the smells, what it might feel like if I was sitting or standing in that place. And I'd spend 2 minutes doing that, really telling my mind a couple different things. One, that I can control how I feel in this moment, even if this moment is yuck. And two, that I can give myself a degree of separation, even if physically I do need to stay in this space. And practicing something like that, I don't know, 3 to 5 times a day just kind of seeing yourself somewhere else that feels calm and safe. That's a great habit to get into, especially at these times.
Do you have suggestions for people regarding news and or social media right now?
Yeah, my suggestions would be to stay informed, but also mind our balance about how much we are absorbing all of the different information out there. We can be flooded with everything that's going on, and that in and of itself can start to feel really exhausting. So I would recommend, yes, checking in maybe at the start of a day and at the end, or maybe the middle of a day, with what's the most recent, information that I need to be aware of, but not spending a ton of time just reading and reading and reading and getting knee deep or neck deep into things. So that would be my thoughts there. And then there was a second part to your question, Nicole, about, social media, right? So social media, it's been a major part of our lives for a while now, but I think in some regards, it's how we're doing so many more things now at times like this. So in one way, it's definitely a big blessing. So I've been doing things just to try to, spend more time ensuring that my own social media platforms are full of things I want to be seeing and hearing and reading about. So that might mean changing. Just last night, I changed my background on something because it was an outdated picture and I wanted to look at a newer one. So it can be really tiny things, or even looking for new resources. You can look for different mindfulness apps. I know one thing was sent to me yesterday about a white noise app that I could do, that just helps sometimes with people who struggle with focus. You could turn on this free app and it makes any variety of white noise. So social media can be really useful right now to explore some other options of coping and stress management. Again, the idea being we still want to feel socially connected. It's important at times like this that we know we can connect with other people. So you might FaceTime more often, or create a little event with a group of people that you normally would see regularly but can't right now. You could all have a video call or do something fun over some social media platform. That's important.
Maddie, did you have questions about any of that?
Not about that, but I do have a question about the whole counseling process.
Yeah.
If people feel iffy on reaching out to a counselor, what advice would you give to them about that?
The first thing I would say is iffy is normal. That is 110% normal about asking ourselves if we want to try something new, anything new, counseling included. It is normal to feel iffy. That is a first level part of any decision-making model. So the iffiness feeling, I want to tell people, isn't a sign of you shouldn't do it or it's not a good fit for you. It's just normal. I think one of the huge advantages of what SCC provides their students is a student can try counseling here at SCC. And yes, it does require our time and our energy and some guts, right? It requires a little bit of our vulnerabilities to step out and meet a new person and maybe talk about some things. But it's also a great way to try counseling. What we do and what we offer, we can do it in ways that is very flexible. For example, if a student just wants to try counseling, they don't want to commit to yes, I'm going to do these 15 sessions and yes, I'll meet with you every week for an hour. We can just try it. We can get a Zoom appointment set up and we both understand that this is kind of a trial run and see how it feels. And if it only lasts 20 minutes and you don't do it again, that's okay. So iffy is totally normal. And I, even before these times, I was trying to, share that with SCC students just to reach out to me and we can have that conversation and talk about what is it like to do counseling and what is it like to talk about things and get some suggestions from another person. Yeah, good questions.
I know that I've spoken to some folks who maybe had a therapist and now are unable to see that therapist for whatever reason. Sometimes it's insurance won't provide telehealth or something like that. Would you suggest that those folks come to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, another big advantage of the opportunities that SCC provides through the CAPS program is we can be that resource when, for a variety of other reasons, therapists in the community can no longer see students at SCC. So yes, if you have been seeing somebody and you can't at this time for any reason, you are welcome, please, to contact us. And we really want to coordinate with other folks you're working with in your world. That is up to each individual on their own if they want us to do that or not. But if you do some counseling with us temporarily, and then once all this is over, you go back to your therapist, that's great. That's perfect. A good continuity of care is something we really want for folks.
So does that mean if you do graduate from SCC, are the people still able to reach out to you and get help if they need it?
So if, for example, if a student graduates this, May, and we have been seeing them in counseling, prior to that at some point, and they reach out to us and need us to help find a community agency to continue their counseling, or have questions about maybe a medication provider or support groups in their community, we absolutely will continue to be a resource for those students. Once they are no longer enrolled, so after graduation, we wouldn't do the ongoing counseling with them on a recurring basis. But yes, we have students reach back out to us after the fact, and we, even out of state sometimes, and we strive to find them some good connections for continuing mental health support.
So if someone were to choose to take advantage of the CAPS resources, are they just randomly assigned to a therapist, or how do you go about doing that?
I try to do that. That's a major part of my first meeting with all of the students who are interested. That's the first step. I want them to know, who I am, my face, and my access points. And so we have a lengthy conversation about their questions about counseling, their presenting thoughts, concerns, things they want to address in counseling. I share as much as I can about what to expect from the program. And then the last part is usually us talking about good fit of the next person who's going to work with them. That may be me, but it also is likely going to be one of those interns I supervise. And so we have discussions about, preferred times of day or days of week, because interns have varying schedules. But we also have conversations about preferences on human being, the style and structure of how counselors do their work can vary to some degree. And so I'm really transparent with SCC students about, I'm not batting 1,000, but I really do try to make a good fit based on what they're saying to me and what their desires are with those interns. And I'm really lucky to have an awesome group of interns. There's 9 of them right now, and their strengths are amazing, so I can usually make a good connection. But I also tell the students, the SCC students, if I connect you with one of those interns, you meet with them a little bit and you think, oh, this is not for me, or I don't know if this is a connection. That's not abnormal either. Come back to me, share that with me, give me that feedback, and we'll try to make a different connection. So it's not exactly random.
Do they have to have a diagnosis to come to you?
Nope. One of, again, the advantages of the counseling at SCC and the way we are providing it, in that we are not taking any payments or really messing with anybody's insurance. Nope. Counseling can be just an overarching general mental health support and an improved psychological well-being. That's what we want our SCC students to know, is not only are they going to receive just really top-notch academic support and education, but as a whole person, SCC wants to help them grow and achieve and find success.
Maddie, did you have any questions?
No, not right now.
I was hoping, Calica, you could just talk a little bit more about some other self-care techniques. I think you gave some really practical, great ones. I wondered if there was any others that you would suggest they try implementing.
What are some other of my favorite self-care? Like I said, after breathing, and then that one about finding kind of a calm place or safe place in the mind, those are some of the first techniques that I would teach really anybody, and they're really important at this time. Beyond that, and this is something I've even noticed within myself, is because our physical spaces have changed so much and what we can do with our body has changed so much, that really affects the mind. And so being sure that we're telling our different muscle groups essentially to still do some work, even if we don't have time or equipment or resources to do a workout. One great skill would be something like a progressive muscle relaxation technique. So, you can adapt this in many different ways, but essentially the idea is that taking different muscle groups in your body and tightening them for about 5 seconds, and then releasing them for, again, about 5 seconds, and moving from head to toe or toes up, doing like a full lap up and down your body. That is a really great way to release tension, to really tell those muscle groups to do some work, and then release some of that relaxation response. So something like a progressive muscle relaxation exercise would be really good as well. meditation or anything that somebody might call mindfulness activities are really important right now. I think especially that we're all trying to work in home, do school in home, have our family and relationship time in home. It's kind of all the same zone, but we're doing so many different things. Taking time, sometimes maybe every other hour, to be mindful of just one thing. So even if in my environment right now, I just found one thing and described it to myself, observe it and describe it, that's mindfulness, and it can give me a way to recharge and refocus. So that'd be another technique in addition to the progressive muscle relaxation.
Anything else, Maddie?
Do you have any, how do I want to word this? Like for how to keep busy during the day rather than just sitting there, do you have any ideas to give to people?
I think starting the day well is really important. So, and by that, I mean in healthy ways. So having a time to get up, still setting an alarm as we would and getting up for the day as we would and getting ready for the day as we would, although we're home and we can stay in pajamas most of the day, still telling our mind and our body that there is some structure to our environment that we want to keep for being productive and motivated. So I'd start the day as similarly as you can. Have a breakfast, if you enjoy coffee or some kind of beverage in the morning, do that. And then throughout your day, have to-do lists, or in your mind, at least things you want to accomplish. Nothing extensive. Don't be overextending yourself. Just a few things throughout the day that you would like to accomplish, and have a method of seeing yourself check that off, whether that's on a piece of paper. It's the most simple form, but even just taking 10 or 15 seconds to say, okay, I wanted to do that today and I did. Acknowledging those small steps is a really good way also to stay on task. And that can be things, it doesn't have to be just homework or work related. That can be things like, okay, I learned about this new breathing technique. I'm going to do it twice today. And then as you do it, you check it off of your mental list or your actual to-do list, and you see that you're actually accomplishing things, and that will just feel like you're headed somewhere each day.
So before we conclude today, just any other questions from you, Maddie, or suggestions from you, Calica, to the folks out there?
I don't have any, no.
Okay.
I think my last thought or suggestion would just be to don't hesitate. I know these times we can feel very either alone or also bombarded again by people in spaces we aren't used to so much, and that's a lot. And give yourself permission and some kindness to acknowledge that that's a lot, and then don't hesitate to reach out. And that could be in many different forms. It might be to the CAPS program, just to find somebody else who doesn't live in your house to talk to once a week. But it also might mean reaching out to the other supports that SCC has and just saying, hey, I heard about the Success Center a long time ago, and I want to know what they can do for me because times are tough right now. So now is not the time to hesitate on asking for support. If you think you need it, ask for it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and SCC also has a really great EAP program for their faculty and staff. So
absolutely,
good opportunity to do that too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Calica. Maddie, thank you so much. And we will hopefully talk with you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.